Bonjour, hi. Je m'appelle Lila Cachu et je suis directrice exécutive pour de Hondeganson de J, l'environnement réseau pour la recherche en santé autochtone du Québec. Nous aimerions commencer ce webinaire en remerciant...
We'd like to start this webinar to thank all the participants and honor the research work of our participant. We also want to thank all the present people that are here today. And these people are sharing our interest for the practice that are favoring and improving the research for and by Indigenous people. We are right now in the non-ceded territory, and also this territory have been visited also by other nations. And we also have many other people that come from different territories that are with us today in Quebec. We're inviting you to share with us in the chat all the Indigenous people that have shared this territory for which you are on today. I think she will translate it herself or presenting it. No. So I would like to advise you that simultaneous interpretation is available.
Will be expressing themselves in French today. We have simultaneous translation available. You can click either on the little globe at the bottom of your screen, or if you click on more and you click on interpretation, you can choose the language that best meets that best meets your needs for today. Donc, mon nom est Audrey Monette Deschênes.
My name is Audrey Monette Deschênes. I'm a research agent in planification for NEIHR Quebec. And we are really, really happy to welcome you today for the 7th webinar of this series, which are the practical example in Indigenous researches we have right now. This workshop, we have put forward different research programs which have been done by communities and people that are Indigenous, and also a practical example of partnerships in different academic areas. And also people, communities, organizations that are Indigenous, and also a group of panels that we have today. So we'll be presenting the panelists today. I'm really happy to welcome these panels today and other people that will be joining us today. The first group that we'll be welcoming today, it's Christiane Guay, a teacher at the, and also Patricia-Anne Blanchet. She is also working in health and social research. So these are the projects that we'll be presenting today. So I'll put the screen on. Research partnership for supporting of governance project and the variant initiative from the Innu Washat Natotacinan. So Christiane and Nadine, Christiane Guay and Nadine Vollant will be presenting their topics today. Governance project within research with children's services. I'm very happy to be with you today to present to you the work that we have done today in reference to governance project in the context of intervention on the where it's needed with youth protection agency with the children. So thank you very much. Thank you, Nadine, for this introduction and to inviting us. It's really a benefit and honor for us to be with you today. We're here to talk to you about the governance projects with the Indigenous people. So we have targeted our presentation in 3 different steps and phases. Firstly, we will probably set up the context which started up or is the reason for this project, and we will put you in perspective of this context, which is really of governance, which has really evolved, and it really did have an impact on a project. And we will end by discussing the project per se, this governance projects, and we'll see all the great steps and evolution. And it will be presented to you in its highlights. and we will see what are the laws that have been set for during this project. But before we move into the heart of the subject, I think it was very important for you to talk about the community on which it will be discussing or about. We said that you probably know that Quebec have 10 First Nations and Inuit nations as well, and Uashat Ntotacinan is part of the First Nation Innu that is building its own community. Uashat Ntotacinan is divided into different territories. We often talk about two communities, but actually it's one only single community, but it's a bit within their differences. And we have different band councils. Uashat is in Midwest between the Settles and Mamit Innuat, whatever you call it, Maliotenan, depending how you pronounce it. It's situated as in the last part, it's about 16 kilometers east of Settles. The community is about 5,000 members, and 37.8% of the population has less than 18 years old, 18 years old. So it's to know that 15% of the youth are less than 18 years old. They are really right now a subject of youth protection measures. Nadine, I will let you continue. Yes, we're talking about here the genesis of the governance, the process of our governance project. By the way, to tell you that this governance project, is brought out of a dream for the children of the community of Uashat Ntotacinan. In order to talk about these project and this association kind of thing with the research and the different practices, I had the opportunity to meet Christiane within her context of realization of a research for her thesis, her doctor's thesis. So it was in 2009, starting from that point when Christiane became full teacher, we reconnected together actually, following our different communication and exchange in regarding the governance project for the community of Uashat Ntotacinan, to sort of have a system that would correspond to our values and to the need of our children. So it was within this idea that we have created our partnership. We have to understand also that our partnership with Christiane is a person that has a great sensibility for the communities. So it became very natural, this association built up naturally in order to create this project here. So in a governance project, actually for us, the community, it was very important to valorize it and value these different interventions that we have within our communities, within our context and our community, because as I already said, what is not written does not exist. So I thought it was very important to make sure that the documentation has been built around this idea of gathering all the knowledge of the Indigenous knowledge and how our parents were taking care of their children. Because it's very important within innovation context that the interveners could understand very well this situation, because sometimes, most of the time, we have a misunderstanding and we're judging parents by being sometimes have been bad parents. But it was a way actually we needed to prove that by research that our parents had a very positive educational way with our children. So this is what brought up actually, gave it a starting point for our project. Even if we did research and through all the years, it was very important yet for us to document this process of governance, not only for the community per se, the community Uashat and Mamit Innuat, but to inspire people and to allow us to have some real fact for other communities that wanted to inspire them from this kind of a project. So they should have proper documentation and that commission done by research. So actually, this is what built up and created this relationship between us and got involved in the different types of research and precisely this governance project. So it's a governance that started about in 2011. At the beginning of the process, I was accompanied by my colleague that really it wasn't a judge. It's, you know, there's always a difficulty to make research with the law teachers, but we survived all this, and it was changed, replaced by another colleague, and he became professor at the Laval University. There was very important numbers of people in research, but it was very long to go through. But just to tell you that we did not do this all by ourselves. There was a lot of people around it. But before I present you this process, I wanted to show you that how the legislative context has evolved through the time. And it did have an incredible impact on the orientation of the project. At the time, at the very beginning of the process, if today, WASHET has been able to exercise certain responsibility regarding their responsibility. We see at the right, at the left rather, that I say, in the right, it's yes, they could right now apply the necessary measures in the youth protection, and they could really build something around the situation. At the time, what the Innu believed was to be able to negotiate what we call a transferring responsible, so we could adapt to do YPA laws in their ways of proceeding. But in 2020, in January 2020, the federal law that we call the C92 came in, and this law, what it has specific, it is recognized to the Indigenous people the right to the authority, the legislative authority, actually, and it created their own Indigenous laws and administrative services resulting from it. It is the only option, actually. It's the only plan that allows them to have their own rules, and not only to just adapt or adopt, or actually adapt also the law as it is, but be able to adjust it. And so from January 2020, well, this is no, it's in December 2019 that actually the law that the Band Council has made the choice of prevail themselves from this authority and this right to apply these law, and we oriented our project within that size in order to develop a new bill. The process itself has spread in 3 phases. The first phases was really started in 2012, which was the first research project. They were targeting 2 things, to evaluating the knowledge of the Innu knowledge, and also the educational practices that are done on the territory, and also to target the understanding better the needs of the children and the family Innu. We have an opportunity to have 4 research grants that allowed us to realize 8 projects, actually. It created a very important implication, which involved actually 3 theses and master's degree. We has also grants to make a community consultation with the members of the community, and also at a total about 258 participants that really were able to participate in one or the other of the project. And this phase 2 is completely ended. We had started this phase 2 in 2016, and this second phase was targeting actually to popularize, simplify all the data that's been collected, and also to popularize the Innu knowledge, and also to design a template and the Innu law, which all this benevolent law. All this is in order to complete the vision of these people. We put in place a committee which was composed of about 20 people, representative of different ideas or different groups of the community, as being community or youth, parents, different groups have been part of this committee. This phase allowed us to produce basis for the whole project. With a member of the committee, we have developed the policies, family policies, the model per se, the model of benevolence, and the services. This phase also is ended. Actually, there's only a doctorate thesis that need to be completed in a couple of months, but other than that, everything was done exactly appropriate in time. Phase 3 started in 2021 with the intention that this project will be sent to the federal government, and to make sure that the Indigenous people will prevail themselves of this C-92 law. And there was many models that were developed to adapt the law and implemented the bill per se. It's almost ended. Everything has been validated. I think it's almost finalized. All it need left to do is to adopt and to implement it actually. So this is about it. So here, as I was saying, Christiane, the research allowed us to elaborate a family policy, which represents actually the basis of our governance model. And this is a graphic here that we use and all the time. We see in this graphic that the governance, Innu governance, it starts from the Innu values and a concept of extended family. It's really, really interesting. At the center, we find the children, the Innu children, Waset, and there's really in the center of the family, which is Kananish, which is part of the greater territory, and then afterwards the greater circle, Ntotacinan, which is the complete territory. And we have 4 axes of intervention that have been identified by different projects that we have had on the research project. We can also name them in one of the 4 of them, 4 axes. There's an element that came out there. We're all together responsible of our child, which means that the intervention should always be targeting on the commitment of all the members of the community to make sure that the wellness of the children is completed, and to reinforcing values of responsibility, helping each other, that is being developed in the heart of the community. To the right, grow, being proud of being Innu. We want to make sure that the valorization and the identity is really, really a priority when we intervene. For the children specifically, that the children that need to be put outside of the community, the interveners or the workers that need to understand their roots and their knowledge, and they are able to develop intergenerational strong, solid link. And then on the bottom at the left, we say the Innu children committed. There should be listened and respected. The policy reminds us that the children are the heart of the family, and they represent the avenue, the future of the community. We want to make sure that the youth recognize their rights, that they become active members in the heart of their community. The interveners must make sure that their point of view is always, always heard and respected, including the measure of wellness. And to the bottom of the right, we have the practices of intervention that should be respectful of the values and culture. We make sure that all the decisions that they're taking regarding the wellness of their children are targeted and guided by the knowledge. It means that it should respect the family, recognize and value the family values like cohabitation, the customary guardianships, and everything should be in a collective conscience. And then, of course, in the different work we do, it brings us to reflect and to work on a definition of Innu definition of child interest. These are elements that came out in the framework of research, but also with the support committee that we have developed. They have developed a new definition of what is the child's interest, which correspond to the vision that the community have in connection or relationship with this, the interest of the child. So in this definition, we put the child in the heart of the situation, where respect its rhythm and its choice were considered this way, the interests of the child as being indissociating from the family and the community. Even more, the interest of the Innu child is really profoundly anchored in the Ntotacinan, which is a territory. It is indissociable than the preservation and protection and his identity of his culture, identity, language, and cultural practices. Here, now we have the Innu model. it is very important to understand the basics and the foundation of the model that is presented here with precisely the trajectory of services and the authority. And then the committee has insisted to the term of benevolence. The term of benevolence in Innu is Chishuatitu. I'm sorry about that. And people did not want to have the term protection because for them, even if it's I think it had a negative connotation of the family. So in the Innu, it's very important in choosing the terms to choose the right terms and to use Innu terms in order to more define and better define the model itself. The model actually, as we see it, it's a welcoming that is centralized, which is a service that is delivered 24/7. We could find an equivalent, what we find in a similar provincial model with the different entry doors to the first line services and also for the CLSC and also the reception of the different treatment and the signalation, like reporting. This, we wanted to do prevention services. This is what we find at the left of the board. There are in priority the prenatal services and preventive services or different services accompaniment. This is where vulnerability is important. It is very important to sort of have an alert. We will offer services of intensive accompaniment. The idea is to intervene ahead of the situation and as much as possible to try to be in the circle or where we should be or we would have to intervene, and we need to be in collaboration and access to the services of benevolent that we found in a right. The services of benevolent are circled when there are alerts concerning the physical abuse, sexual abuse, negligence, and when the services, preventive services or accompaniment have not been sufficient and the parents refuse services that the situation would need when the child is at risk. When the trajectory of benevolent cares, we find two groups is family councils and knowledge councils. Like, we need to define which are the people that will be part of this group. It has to be, the consensus has to be the largest as possible. When the family council cannot come up with a decision and it's impossible to get them together, well, then they could refer to the situation to the Conseil des Sages, which was the elders groups. And then it has to be the helpers circles are composed of family, Innu members of the Kananish and the intervener, and all kinds of interveners implicated, depending on the benevolent plan that has been decided or taken. The decision has been taken either by the family council or the elders councils. Within this process, we will review the whole situation in order to end the lack of services. The person can pursue the accompaniment with these people regarding the child needs. Sometimes the worker on a first line basis could also participate in order to really make available all the emergency services. That emergency services should be in accessible by family council or elders councils or any kind of other group that is responsible of the child. That would be for the prevention. So the bill per se, of course, we could not present it to you in detail. So what we could find in a bill actually, it's the words, the wording of the model that has been presented with the definition of the concept of the benevolence and also to the wellness of the child. and also the collective responsibility and the real responsibility. There are things, additional things that we find in the bill, but in the whole, what we need to retain is that the bill is put forward and targeted to the prevention and try to make as much as prevention services as possible ahead of the situation by having a prevention program that is more available and not so constrained, and sharing the responsibility with the different members of the community and also the family circle in order to make sure that all the services are accessible. We put forward the customary guardians, and this practice is really complete, and we really take consideration of it in this bill, and we really emphasize the process that are a little bit more consensual and corresponds better to the value of the Innu. Actually, Nadine and I think that this true element of the model that has been developed is really based on a logic of control and surveillance. And it really sustained the logic and the youth protection. And I think that we're talking about this, we're going from the logic of control from the government youth protection system to the family collaboration, and it would and to Innu value. So this was the content of our presentation. We thank you very much to have taken time to listen to us. My Innu is not that good. We'll keep on working and perfectioning it, but thank you very much, Christiane and Nadine. It's really interesting to see how the project evolve, and through the years, how it changes, policy changes. I really like the model that you present, and Nadine, it really, in English we say, less abruptive approaches. It's a method that is a little less radical and less the less coercive, because often Indigenous people are punished by the youth protection services for life realities that are not necessarily a reality of violence and maltreatment, but it's a question of culture. So I think that you very well respond to this, and thank you very much. And now I will let our next next panelist and presenter. We're welcoming her right now, Patricia Blanchet, which is advisor in pedagogical advisor in Sherbrooke University. She's a student. The project actually that will be presented is, I cannot pronounce it, I'm sorry. It means listen to us, I believe, in the reorganization of the Indigenous people as a vector. So I will let you express yourself. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for the presentation. It was very interesting and very well organized, and within the framework that was offered to us. Thank you very much. It's very important. Mine is a little bit more modest, but McKenzie way. Mon nom est Madame Blanchette, and I'm in Abenaki Nation. So I thank the guardian of these territorial ancestrals, and that are also sacred territories, and were invited in a very dynamic way by the nation. Thank you very much. And I'm very happy to learn from it and to teach and to really experience great relationship based on reciprocity. I'm accompanied by a colleague here. I have an opportunity to meet her regularly, so I'll let you present yourself. Kananish. Good morning to all. I come from the community Lac Jean Innu. And to introduce myself shortly, I'm a student, but I'm also spokesperson of the Youth Council, and I'm part of many other organizations. And what I'm doing right now, I'm a yes, and I'm a Garneau student at the moment of this project. In which program are you involved? Legal techniques. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for being with us today, because there are many students that are part of the project, and Candice is always generous and ready to participate, and she's always committed to share it with us. So for my part, maybe a very short view. I'm really position myself in an ally. It's a pedagogical group. It's a concept that we develop right now at the Muamamu Committee, which is a committee that I coordinate at the Sherbrooke. And we're organizing we're observing the Indigenous perspective. So I know all the people that are coming from the Kananish institution that are also getting it in all the Cree communities and so forth. Conseil des Nations Abénaquis, le Conseil en éducation des Premières Nations, educational servant for First Nations people and teachers, students. So it's been since 2019 that we're working slowly to develop collaborative resources in order to present better and wider the perspective of Indigenous people. And I'm really been committed from a long time in this organization and different gathering or be spirited people as well. So I have the opportunity to accompany elders also in different gathering in order to help the organization also, but for translation as well in Turtle Island and Central America. So I define myself as activist, if I could say that. I'm a specialist in dramatic art. I'm teaching dramatic art. Now I present Indigenous approach and didactic and visual arts or living arts, theatrical art. So I found myself in a position of advisor and in pedagogical philosophy or politics. And also part of Regroupement of Friendship Center in Quebec. I'm very lots of gratitude for these centers. This project helped us to reveal the perspective of different women groups. So we're also spokesperson with our collective theatrical groups in Granby. So it's very important. It's important to be presented. And so I would like to explain to you why at the beginning I got interested in that. It's a theater social perspective. It's a kind of a social theater. We started in Garneau when they started this initiative. So I think that what interested me in this project, or I decided to participate. We started, I think it was 2 years ago. At that time, I think that the cultural shock that I had when I came into the schools. First thing I said to myself is, give me an opportunity to open my mind a little bit more. That's the aspect that really interested me. I see my colleague also, Zana, that really collaborated a lot. So, Leonie, thank you very much for being there. The way we will proceed for our presentation, I will go through a little bit of the issue, the conceptual aspect of it, and we'll go try quickly through it in order to leave room for the questions and share with her one or two of the artwork that have been produced within this exercise. we created this within the decolonization posture. So I'll open up my presentation. I hope it will work. Can anyone see this? Just please confirm if everything is fine and if everyone can see. So I'm directed by Constance Lavoie, an educator and a Brazilian component. So this was part of my studies. Of course, one of the anchoring point, conceptual anchoring point here is really at the systemic situation that Native women are still experiencing. I could talk a long time for that, but there's a lot of things that have not yet been heard, or we're also talking about intersectionality, where women, the Indigenous people, are confronted, especially when they come in an urban situation. We also see that the women are often at the heart, at the beginning, in front of those mobilization. So we need to recognize this in the project. It's important that is really, really seen, was really emerged from all that. And also to respect the matrimonial aspect, the cultural aspect of the Indigenous women. The matrimonial or matrimoine heritage, matrimonial heritage. We want to promote the Native women in the heart of all the organization. Like Kananish said, she's a spokesperson of the youth group. So there's a lot of people that are really taking a step and highlights and strong position, and then get into a dynamic that we could support this development. Maybe we should also say the importance of the territorial relationship and the Indigenous women's governance, and it's really come up really in all of the project and the sharing groups that we have. So this project is fits within the cultural safety in the collegial education. There's more and more models, different educational models that are implemented in different post-secondary schools. And we definitely have a place for the perspective of the Indigenous woman. There's, of course, there's an issue, of education. Of course, in the collegial, what was most interesting, specifically also in master's degree, it's the entering in this citizenship, this identity, cultural identity, and also a socio-professional insertion. There's all those identity issues that are coming into this trajectory. So we also know these Indigenous student will definitely have a very atypic trajectory, very different trajectory as regarding socioeconomy, and many research told us that there's a will to support the people with different approach that are really holistic approach, cultural safety, and based on traditional knowledge and wellness. So on this project at the beginning, I think that you know the concept of cultural safety, which registered itself in social justice in order to promote cultural or educational environment that will support the social justice and cultural safety. And we need to work together into the setting up of this setup. It's like I said, my approach is artistic approach, and it's important to show the art's potentiality in dealing with this situation. the slides are moving by themselves, and we need to protect all the past manifestation and preserve it and present it as it is. So I played a little bit in this. We also know that art and culture allows to support the Indigenous identity, and it really is collaborating to in identity also, and the evaluation of wellness within this practice. I think that all the cultural practices are really strongly embedded and participating in this identity. Somebody was telling me in the transmission of the Indigenous culture, say that the part of the creative participation of the Indigenous youth is really improving and enhancing the social implication and the preservation and the perseverance. That's cool also. They also said that Indigenous youth are really interested in traditional knowledge, especially if they're allowed or invited to create through that. It's very inspiring. And well, the social theater, I could talk a long time about Joanne in Brazil. My co-director is Brazilian, so I could talk a lot about the participation of these people. Actually, it's a basic cultural leverage. And it's interesting to see how this space has been created. It allows to transform the reality. Art is also a very appropriate level for the resistance to appropriate our own culture and to reaffirm our identity. And an article that was written in Canadian Research, La Recherche Théâtrale, they say that theatrical artwork from Indigenous people are really contribute to the wellness of the community and supplies a lot of ritual we want to share, and all this really helps them to overcome their trauma. The anchoring is theatrical anchorages is also social, and the pedagogy also with the basic principle of the first people, which sets people in a holistic perspective for learning and apprenticeship. Here I call this pedagogical model. And we'll see how, because justice has also become a very central subject that is being developed with all the theatrical participation. But really, we started from the decolonization principle in order to help to stimulate the collective memories. It's really it's also in the optic of narrative approach to decolonization. It is very important not to modify. It's very important to respect and to keep in mind, leave the rules and the reality in the most respective way. We also moving into a medical drama situation where people it's provoke dreams and vision. It's a very cosmic relationship. One of the model here, the main one regarding the wellness, the Indigenous wellness approach. We have a different wheel of life representation, moving from one vision to another, one nation to another. So base ourselves on different literature references. And we built the elders circles, respecting this concept. This helped us to experience how the theatrical expression will help and is really connected to all this knowledge, intellectual knowledge, which brings us to the valorization of languages and the legitimacy of the voices, approaching reappropriating culture, the know-how, which is also, it's a relation with physical and ability, it's relation to the body and territory, it's a resistance and advocacy and the living together emotionally. It's very important, how to live together, resilience, reaffirming our identity, the wellness, and the North Door, which is a cosmic approach, which is the invisible world, the cosmic vision, and so forth. So in the Indigenous world, we have a lot of these out-of-world vision. So many of these people have been part of the co-creation of this process right from the beginning. Maybe you know the different research and all the different paths that we have been with the Native women. The research different from different Indigenous women like Indigenous Native women of Quebec, and everything that has been developed with different participants, make sure that they would be part of the adventure, respecting their voice and a philosophy of reciprocity. We could also go through a lot of occasion and opportunity to share. And Kananish is also co-author of a work that will come out soon, and a Pan-Canadian Indigenous view. Alois is also with us here today. We thank all the participants that have been able to be part of the conference, the demonstration and publication and so forth. So more concretely here, it's really actually it's parascholar activities. It allows people to see JEP, the Francophone and Englishmen. It started in May 2022. Like says Canadish, it's been 2 years. We're really in a show and a demonstration and presentation of it. At a total 8 Indigenous students, and one student is William. He really wanted to bring her voice in order to honor women, so he's part of the project as well. So we have 8 nations that are represented. We have a lot of support from the people who are coordinating, co-services to Indigenous people, and NADA, that was the Sainte Foy Dongarno, I'm sorry, and Lois, that is Penobscot, was at Champlain. There's a 2 workshop, theatrical workshop. They be part of 2 hours group, 2 hours each group, and the participant. We were finalists for different prizes, reward, and we want to continue to be recognized as artists, as production artists, not only as a participant of a research, but be recognized as artists. And there are sketch writers. So this is a model of collaborative relationship, relational with elders that were with us. Josephine Bacon was with us. She came in the Cégep Garneau in order to talk about poetry, because there were some poetry involved in the program. We have that the other people that also came from Collège Champlain, different artists, Indigenous artists that are really committed. Gagnon, the Mastoyash, for many other people that shared with us their committed artist approach, and sort of to open up inspiration. Different organizations also were able to put in their recommendation and evaluate the research project to make sure that it really be completed. And we have Native Women of Quebec, and we have a whole list that you will be able to know, Canadian Associations for Theatre Research, that we're also being able to take care. This is Ashtam Ntotacinan. This the title of the presentation today, which means come here and listen to us, or come and listen. I have a few questions that we have prepared with Kananish to express her research. and how she will express her experience in this. There's so a documentary video that was created, but today we emphasize the theatrical process. You can decline it in different ways. So it was on 2 years. It was quite fascinating. We see different participants on the theater. We had many other presentations. One, le Grand Gala du Colloque de la Persévérance et de la Réussite scolaire for the First Nations people. So we're really participating in many platforms. It's a great showcase of the expression. I don't know if maybe we could stop the video presentation so we could share visually. So Kananish, thank you very much to be there once again. Can you explain a little bit how the project unfolded in your own words? What we were doing in a typical theatrical workshop at the beginning? Could you sort of express it? How it started? I think if I remember, it was the one workshop, theatrical workshop a week. The approach was really informal in the way that make us really comfortable. We were on a table. We were on a table. We were having supper together. What we're doing is just sharing souvenirs, memories of our childhood, the things we have experienced. And without even realizing, we all wanted to talk about the same things. So about the different issues that we are experiencing today, where we're all sort of same wave line on that. So we wanted to put a highlight on the issues we're dealing with today, current issues. And we also do dramatical exercises. It's not necessarily obvious. Could you talk to us about it? Indigenous people were kind of silent people. We like to be sort of in the background. But I think that we're all very timid and shy, but I think we're very silent people. So it was a very good opportunity to get comfortable in expressing ourselves and coming out. It really helped us to open up, being more open. The idea was to adapt different exercises, dramatical exercises, and really being attentive to what makes sense of your values. Talk about the place where the Indigenous language took. I think we're 3 Innu people and 1 Atikamekw. We really wanted to highlight our language, how important it is, and we want to make people understand, the public understand how it was made really important for us as well. Asking question, what is it? The idea is, what was important, the idea is that they should understand our message. And I think this unfolded quite well. What we wanted to do is really make sure that people would listen. I think it came out from your ideas. I think this is how the aesthetic has been built, scenography. And perhaps at the end, it came from your ideas to create a lexic, a vocabulary. Yes, the glossary was important. I suggested this glossary to help the public that had difficulty with understanding the meaning and the essence of the word, because there were many words in Innu that we were using in the play, so that we needed to help people understand what the meaning of those words. The original text will definitely be publicized soon. So we're working both the 2 texts of the documentary scenarios as well. So especially regarding the 7th generation. Could you talk to us about the artwork per se? What is the composition? How is this artwork is built, is composed of? Well, actually, to talk about the project and the theater play were for youth from 4 different communities. At the beginning, it was very difficult because what we wanted to do is show an issue of each in and created a whole theater play with this. So we're talking about, I'm sorry, my voice is breaking. I had made a presentation yesterday. So we were 4 youth. We have 4 different teams. I was talking about a territory. I could personally talk more about what I brought into this theater play. I'm originally from Lac Jean. I've grew up in a very isolated community and up north with a lot of exploitation of the mining industries. I think that as a youth, I tried to find a way to commit myself in something where I could find a platform where I could talk about it, because I realized in my school, we did not know me really. Often it's stories that they hear. So I think that the art play was perfect to raise awareness of the people of my institution to the current reality we're dealing with. I talk about what I was experiencing in my community. It was the exploitation of the territory. I was talking about the connection that we have to our territory. I thought it was a way to get involved and committed. The way we organized it, the characters, one was an elder and a youth, and I was a child, and William was the man. But it was supposed to be, the group was supposed to be just for women, but William brought his masculine vision of all this, and he kind of wanted to support the women. So I don't know if I respond. Yes, there was a residential school, there was children, and there was the sexually abused people. So the thematic, there were different elements. So even the we were using red smoke in order to represent the dust that we have in the territory done by the industries and the forest deforestation. So maybe, Annalise, I think that you've prepared a little extract here. I could read you my part. The poem that I wrote is addressed to my grandmother. I talk often with my connection with my grandmother. It's a poem that she wrote. I walk, and I walk on the traces of my ancestor. The territory is going through my veins, like affected with ignorance. I can hardly hear, it's cutting all the time. I'm scared, and the forest that we're protecting is millenaries, the one that her value is so connected with us. They have forgotten its beauty in order to keep our traditions. It's a very difficult, I'm sorry.
Connaîtront-ils nos légendes et le Inouï monde? 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 Mais il y a encore de l'espoir. Une nouvelle génération se lève pour nos droits et nos rêves. Et jusqu'à ce qu'on retrouve notre identité, j'utiliserai ma voix pour réparer les torts causés et continuerai de partager ce que tu m'as enseigné. Donc, c'était mon poème. Ça fait longtemps qu'on n'a pas fait de
It's
représentation.
been a long time that we didn't do an image presentation, so it's fine. It feels good to reread the text that we have been presented in the theater play. Thank you very much. It really reminds me good souvenirs, good memories. We had a lot, about 500 people that came to see this outplay, this theater play. So thank you. My next question is, what have you learned through all this project? How this project is really with you still again, still accompanies you. I think that what I've learned through this creation is the theater plays to find a way, a path. Before I was trying to sort of fit myself in some kind of a pattern. But I said, no, I'm not this. I need to take my place, and no matter who I am, I need to find this and stand up. I will always take the place I need and the place I want to. And that's what I've learned. And it brought me a lot of I think it's thanks to the art play that I'm organizing myself well today. Today, I'm a youth representative for Quebec. It's something that I'm really passionate about. I think I found my path. I think I meet people, young people from everywhere, from the other countries. It's really healing. I think she said, I didn't understand it quite well. Yes, we could feel your passion. Thank you very much. I know, and the fact is that I developed myself a passion for the rights. Yes, to defend the rights, and so this is really incredible to see the path that you have been walked through this and where it brought you today. And the Kukum, the aunt, the sisters have been asked to participate to create a soundtrack. So it's the idea of inviting communities and all communities, communities of participants. So when the parents and the family members came to see the representation, we could really feel this pride and this presence, of course. So I can only end by a very short slides from the model that came out of it. Is it okay, anyone? Thank you very much, Kananish, for your sharing. And this is the documentary video. To show you the model. There's a lot of things in it, so I'll shortly explaining. There's 13 topics that turn against clockwise. There are stemming from different theory in the drama teaching. And it was really experienced with the participant. You recognize our model that we had earlier, the 4 indicators that really came out. There's 16 indicators that had been analyzed through all this. I also have a graphic that shows the appropriateness of all these issues and dimension. The final is the seeding, the moon phases, the seeding, decantation, and there's another 2 that we don't see. And it's very important. What came out is a resurgence of the language and culture with the archetype picture that stems from life itself. We have different characters. We have at the south door is the resistance with the warrior that expressing yourself in the creation. What came out really in the data of, and the west door, like it says, it's healing that the project allowed her to have. So the resilience position with the feminine picture of women. of the feminine image of healing. And we also have this place here for those who have walked before us and all the intangible world. So the guardian of the sacred world is positioned as a major character in this door. And this I'm trying to develop another thing or some other things that could come in, because we see that justice is very important. So I'm trying to sort of insert that. The question I'm asking myself, is there a different kind of justice in order to build this holistic justice? I don't know how to say it directly, but this is a suggestion that I'm trying to develop here, and I'm trying to reflect right now, because the question of justice is so central to the projects. Of course, I put a lot of comment, and we continue with this project that for sure it really taking shape and spreading in order to represent the women's expression. So I really thank everyone that have collaborated that, because it's just an expression of how much space the women is developing and taking. So thank you very much for listening to us today. So thank you very much. Maybe in the discussion, I don't want to take more time than I was allowed to. So thank you very much, Patricia and Kananish. You're not at the end of your thesis, yes, but what I've seen today is when we want to do things properly, it takes a long time. And I see all the people that have been involved and all the vision that have been shared and integrated in different aspects of the research in order to come up with some results. The way things evolve, I really see that the notion of time and the wanting to do things properly and to really put forward different voices that have been heard or expressed and are part and are integral part of the project. And it really justify greatly and the time that we need to put in that. As it's a lot, there's a lot. Thank you very much to have presented us this project today. And what I'll do actually, I will let room for people that are present with you to ask questions, share, make comment. We still have two separate research project today, but I think that it highlights the importance or the important approach, or different kind of grassroots approach that really is stemming from the bottom to the top, rather than the current trend that is from the top to down. We make decision on the top and bring down. So without without integrating the reality of the people and the people's voice as well. So if you have any question, comment, this is the time now. There was, I seen there were a lot of comment in the chat. It was incredible. I have the privilege to see this theater play at the Laval University, and it's funny because I see today, and oh my God, she changed so much. I think that this project, as she said herself, the project allowed us to grow very much and to find a place and to make hear the voice that you wanted to be heard. And I think greatly that art, it's a path that we need to explore. I teach at university, and most of my students are not native, and every course starts with creative arts. And at the beginning of a session, sometimes it's a little bit baby beginning, but at the end of the session they come and thanks me because I allowed him to express themselves, even though they started with some of pasting and cut and paste situation. At the end they grew by doing art with them, it's a therapy. And there's even some of them that making a journal. When they come to the course, they write, and they left the course, they keep on writing. So just to tell you that we can, what I call this indigenous pedagogy, we can make changes. How could I say? We could change mentality, the people's mind, and we help them. I think that we're healing them, we're helping, and I think that many students in many contexts, they're squeezed because there's so many work and so many obligations to do. And I think that this little quarter of a minute or 15 minutes at the beginning of the course, it sort of allows them some kind of an escape. And so I must leave you because I must go on to my work. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your beautiful project. Kananish, hello Patricia-Anne. I really believe in myself too, the opening of the heart in order to be able to assimilate more information in order to go farther and longer distance. I think that the beginning where we're doing it with our students, so to sort of put them in a position to receive these testimony. I was questioning myself, what are the follow-up of these projects? What would stem out of that? What would come out of this? What would be the results? Will there be a follow-up of the students that participate in the project to see where this brought them? How did they move forward? Or will there be a phase 2 of use of this approach again? Well, I think that the work with grow by taking each student's stories, of course it will grow, but of course the first objective is to end or finish this thesis. And but of course, yes, it would continue to live. A partner, as we were developing this with helping to train the interveners in order to intervene in Innu school environment. We're talking about implementing this into the different education institutions. And there's openness for the theater development and the different school institutions. Many representation. Tomorrow we're presenting the cinematographic part with the Champlain College with other groups. So we're very solicited, the student and I, for different presentation. And of course, I'm still in contact with everyone. I think this is developed into relationship, a friendship, family relationship. I think that for now, the research project is, but of course it will continue to live because the time we need to do this, we're taking it. The relationship is primary to the end result. So it's built on a relationship. Thank you very much. I have a question for Christiane and Nadine. La CAQ government is probably the only one that was against the C92 project, but it was brought up to the Supreme Court and returned, luckily, in the last year. I was wondering what kind of an impact did it had, these spin of the project or the deployment of the project. Did it have any kind of a negative effect or spinning effect? Or you're talking, Nadine? I could say in a way it's well received by the First Nations. The Supreme Court decision was well received by First Nations. It didn't prevent us to continue to work. There's also a certain will, a kind of a will. I could say that I really felt it following the political decision, and it really pushes the First Nation to move forward in this kind of project, which is innovative as far as intervention with our family. And I think it allowed us to kind of relaunching, kind of a second breath for these innovative projects, because we still have in Quebec many communities that also gave them intentional advice or participation for the new governance. I would say that you will most probably see in the next month and year many projects of that kind that will really stem from that type of governance with the community. There's also a will to reappropriate ourselves what we've lost, which is the guardian of our children, because we are guardians of our children. And often, when we are ourselves responsible, and it is a community responsibility, well, the participation of the family in the intervention is much more solid and much more positive, and it really does respond to the real need of our children. So I think it's a real move forward, and it's good. It's not only in Quebec. We need the impact of this document. This impact will have across Canada, but we also need to understand there is a necessity to train people, since there were contestation issues. It's like if the norms were not applying when we talk on the field with the interveners. They have a lot of work to be done in order to train people in connection with the basic principles, which are the standards that are applicable across the whole Canada. I don't know if Christiane wants to add something, but no, it's quite clear what you've just said. Yes, because I say that the Atikamekw already had their own system. Did this inspire you? Yes, there's a Atikamekw community that adopted this law. Law is the only one in Quebec, but the other community, they negotiated something, but they did not move on to the 92 yet. But Quebec, most of the community have sent their intention notice. I think it's McKenzie, yet perhaps did not delivered their intention, but Innu had about 30 files in front of the Youth Protection Court. So I don't think their mind is a little bit elsewhere, but I think that most of the members of all of the community has moved forward. We will definitely see these law, like Nadine has said, we will be seeing them in the next future. Are there any people question? So the intent letter, could it be refused? No. No, it's an inherent right guaranteed by the federal. So all organization, you don't need to do it tomorrow morning. It could do any time and any time, but whenever they're ready, they could do it. It cannot be refuted. It is no limited time. It's a right that is recognized. And they recognize that even if the Supreme Court has not statuted on the inherent right, they didn't get into this, but they still recognize that the federal government could, for their own intention, recognize the inherent right guaranteed by the Article 35 of the chart, but they didn't express it that way. But they say that the government could, for their own interest, recognize, and the federal government at that time now does recognize this inherent right. So unless we undo the law, but as long as the law is there, any indigenous organization, as long as they wish, they could develop their own model of governance. So the intent letter is just sort of a notification. Yes, actually, because we need to negotiate an agreement. There's a lot of money coming in with this. Okay, negotiate. And if there's a collaboration with the six, well, then even if it's just a question of transferring the titles and so forth, we have to negotiate that. But it will be done. We're not held back by the 35. So it's moving forward. It's happening. That's good. That's very good. Honestly, I didn't think I would take my retirement. I seen this before my retirement, but it will be in September, so I'm quite happy. I never thought I would see this. So we're there already. So we have a big lap done. Of course, there's a lot of amount of money associated that sometimes we recognize rights, but we're not giving the necessary financial envelope in order to implement this and to implement those rights. Yes, of course. The funding came because of the funding updated itself across Canada regarding the social services, because there was this big case that's been dragging for the last 10 years. So it's very interesting. Yes, it is associated to C92, but it's not an issue anymore. Money follows the implementation of the law. Yes, absolutely. And it's a great opportunity to either think of innovative things as far as practices and intervention. And the interest that our project have right now, the way I see it as a practitioner, because I'm a social worker, it's a very, I've been on the community for many years. The research and practice is a necessity. The research was a necessity to document this project that would allow other community to benefit from it, because we don't have many data and research that has been done with the governance project. So the necessity to be able to document this would allow the diffusion, the spreading and the dissemination of this information, and allow other projects to sprout and within other nation and other community. It doesn't mean that we're doing exactly the same way, but there's similarity and the data that can be used by other community that would like to start up and build up these governance projects. And it was always in this kind of a spirit that we work this collaboration, very close relationship with research. And just to put you in context, something that still resonates today, I remember that there was a new that told me we are not laboratory rats. The researcher that comes in, they come in and they go away with all our data and they do not bring back the result to us. So the importance of having alliances between the research and the groundwork, and to have some spin-offs and concrete results, because we're not doing just research for research, for all the research that I do, and I do with Christiane. We don't do research just to do research to build up reports. We make research in order to be able to develop things that would have an effect of improving either practices, build up programs that would allow develop things that would have real results. So this partnership of research with the community, with our nations, I think it is essential in the process of reconciliation. We need to have allies in the research. Christiane is one of them, is one ally for us through all these years, 15 years of commitment for a project for a community. Still, it's quite notable. It's quite respectful as a commitment. I'm really, really happy when I see projects like we have been presented earlier with art and the impact that it could have on either the development of our youth. For me, I'm totally excited. It was a great experience for me. Thanks a lot. I can ask questions till the end of days and of times, but we all have responsibilities. Or I cannot say other things to do, but we do have a life and we need to organize all of that. So I really thank everyone that has presented, and especially those that presented, Christiane, Kananish, and Patricia, and thank you very much. And to present project that is really beneficial for all, and also being done with the Indigenous people. Thanks you for the people who come to the webinar and to learn and take advantage of acquiring knowledge So thanks. Have a nice week, all of you. And can't wait to see you in the last webinar of the year in May. And thank you very much. Thank you very much. Have a nice day to all of you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.